Yes, it's back. Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of We Should Be Writing with myself, Claire Hyton Stevenson, and my fellow, presenters, I suppose you'd call them, author Alison Root and reviewer Leah Goodwin. So hi guys, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. It's a hot one here in the UK.
It's very warm.
Bloody boiling. Lovely.
I know. But anyway, let's kick on. What are we going to discuss today? I think it's going to have to be the big topic of internet. What's the word?
Piracy.
Plagiarism, theft, AI thieving people. I mean, I don't know. I just. My book's been done 4 times.
You're very popular.
I'm very
popular.
Very popular. I think they seem to have just kind of taken the top 10 at one particular week and then just gone, we'll do all of those.
Yeah.
But it's by several different author. I say author names. I'm using that term very loosely, and in several different languages.
Now,
yeah, they've gone for French and German as well, haven't they?
Sorry?
French and German as well. They've gone for
French, German. I think Spanish.
Well, when they run it through an AI system, they can do it all. What I find irritating is that Amazon have been well known to flag real authors for non-existent problems and shut their accounts down. It's always been a problem for a long time. Now, what they usually do is it usually goes on their IP address. So, for example, if an author signs up for KDP and then tries to set up a second one and they're bogus and give it a separate address, Amazon can still figure it out because they still use the same IP address on their computer. Now, why isn't this flagging really quickly these thieves who are clearly having either got separate accounts, which they are not allowed under Amazon anyway, or one author name has been flagged repeatedly, and why Amazon allowing them just to set up a whole new pen name and do the same thing? Why is their accounts not immediately being closed down like genuine authors?
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming this is like a similar thing to like the phone scam type thing, where they've got an office somewhere with 20 people sitting on different computers, running IP addresses through all different systems and things that hide it all, and that's how they're able to avoid it. I mean,
are they being that sophisticated with sapphic fiction? Because let's be honest, we're not a very big niche, are we? We're tiny.
But is it just sapphic? This is the thing. We're only noticing it because it's our books that are being affected. I would not be surprised if they're doing it to every genre, but I think if they went mainstream and did, I don't know, Stephen King, that's going to get flagged really quickly. So they're trying to avoid getting caught. I think what they're doing is they're going for smaller genres of writing groups, hoping that nobody notices that they've done this, and then do you know what I mean? And then they stick it out there and they hope like, well, if we get 20 sales off of each one before it's taken down or before somebody notices and we get a load of bad reviews, we've made 20 sales. It's 30-40 quid for each one they do every single time. And they've got people that they just sit there their whole day just creating more and more, and it's a non-stop kind of roller coaster, isn't it, of chuck one out, it gets deleted, chuck one out, it gets deleted. They don't care that Amazon blocks them. No, because they'll just, like you say, use a new IP address, get another one, and off they go again.
How it's going to be resolved, because it's like piracy online. You just can't stop it. Somebody made an interesting comment online. I don't know where it was, but they said the only way this is going to stop is if we go back to just doing print books and forget online, because we can't stop online piracy, and it's true.
Yeah, but even that though, somebody can still just grab your book and print it themselves. Like there'll be a way around it. If people want to steal, they'll steal. There's nothing.
But I suppose it's about making it as hard as possible.
Yeah, of course. But I just, this is the thing that frustrates me with AI and the whole, all the arguments online where everyone's, jumping on the bandwagon of a new author because she supposedly might have, possibly someone said she could have used it to edit her book. And it's like, that's not the issue with AI.
Well,
do you know what I mean? It's a pain. Is
people saying, oh, they've used AI without any proof whatsoever. It's just somebody's opinion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I had one who came, who made a comment on Sleigh Bells Ring, the cover, and in this comment it says, oh, it's a shame that she used AI, and somebody else came and said, oh, I didn't know that. So I came and went, whoa. I said, no, I do not use, and I fought my own battle. And one of them actually emailed me directly, says, thank you very much for clearing that up. And I was like, no problem. I explained how AI is used in any cover. So if you use Photoshop, if you use Canva, any of that have AI tools. That's very different to creating a full cover from generated shit. Yeah. And you end up to sort of like argue your innocence, even though you're not somebody who uses AI in that way. It's quite frustrating.
It's very the problem is they think they know everything about it, though, don't they? They're kind of like, well, I know it's that, but do you have a background in it? Most of the time they don't. They're just picking up little things. And now because it's in everybody's consciousness, everything is AI as far as they're concerned.
It can be quite exciting towards graphic designers who are extremely talented and who can draw so realistically or who can create masterpieces. There are people out there, like, they forget that there are artists who are just that good at their job.
Yeah.
If it looks good, it must be AI.
Well, one of the books I shared on one of the Facebook page, it was, again, like you said, brand new author. She is a graphics designer. She tried to explain how she's used everything straight away. No, don't believe you. That's it. You cut off. And they're like, not reading your book. And it's like, well, what else can people do? Just because you're not clever enough to, like you said, create these images from just drawing them. AI isn't everything now. It's there. There's nothing we could do about it. And you can either trust that the person is telling you the truth or not. But straight away, they want to go down that, no, they're lying. So now everybody has to believe that they're lying.
Between AI as a tool, which is an aid, or using AI to just do your work. There's a very big difference, and people need to understand that difference.
Yeah.
Because we've been using AI for a long time.
It's in your phones, it's everywhere now. It's
Microsoft, Adobe, everywhere, and they're tools. Yes, ChatGPT, I don't agree with that because I think that's where there's a big problem. Where it's AI generative stuff, that's an issue completely. But people have got to know the difference before they start offering an opinion.
And then everybody else jumps on the bandwagon. It doesn't matter what you say. I had another one try and start that conversation up again. I was like, do you know what? Go and ask them. Why are you creating an issue on here? I'm shutting that down. Go and ask the author. Why are you trying to kick something off?
Yeah.
And none of us are saying that we agree with people who use AI, taking their work away from artists and authors. That's not what we're agreeing with. But you've got to know the background before you can insinuate something.
Absolutely.
And for me, it comes into, look, if you're an author and you decide that you're going to use AI, that's your prerogative. Okay.
Yeah.
But you need to be honest and upfront about that. So you should be the one that goes onto Amazon and says, yes, I've used AI. You should not lie about it. If you're going to make that decision, don't lie, put it up there.
Yeah.
Be transparent. Own your decision, you know?
Yeah.
And then maybe Amazon need to get a grip of it a little bit and start putting separate categories for AI books. Let them have their own sector of Amazon if that's one. Leave the small published and indie publishers one side, have AI the other side, so that people who are happy to read AI go to the AI section, you know?
Yeah.
Is it me or is
it's all
it
about having choice, isn't it? Making your own decision.
Yeah. And, you know, I just think it just winds me up a little bit that, especially for new authors, it's not so bad for us because we've already established what we do and what our practices are and how we work, and people know who our editors are and who our proofreaders are and all that sort of stuff. But you're young, you know. I remember when I first started, if I hadn't had a friend who could read through and do my editing, I would not have a book out because my grammar skills are non-existent. Like it would all my reviews would say is this book needs editing. And I still get that even now. I get people say this book needs editing because they've obviously read it as with American grammar and it should be British or vice versa or whatever. That's always going to be an issue. But I would never have been able to write a book. And I can totally understand how somebody new may look at something like, I don't know, is it chat GPT, whatever it is, to run their story, their words, their creation, and ask it to check it for grammar and ask it to check it for typos. I totally get that.
Yeah.
They're not the people who are taking jobs away from a proofreader because they're not the people who could have afforded it in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Well, and all we need to be doing is encouraging those that, yes, once you've established, you should really maybe move on to now a human being and
it's like I use ProWrite Aid because, like you, Claire, my grammar is absolutely shocking, and I use it just so before I send it off to beta or anything, just so it isn't just utter rubbish, unreadable. And then so my first book came out, I didn't have anything, and it was like I was on my second book, and I had somebody reach out and said, "Hey, would you be okay if I ran through your stories and just did the grammar?" I was like,
yes, please. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's where all of my contacts came from, was people reaching out saying, "Hey, I don't mind helping you." And I was like, "Yes, please," because I didn't have the money then to hire anybody. It was well after a year before I was able to afford an editor and then a proofreader. You know, it takes time. So people using like ProWrite, once again, is a tool. Yes, they are developing it now where you can start to do AI generative things. From that, it's like Microsoft Word Checker, you know, all of that is AI, but they're tools. If then you take your work and give it to somebody, to a human, to then go through, what's the problem?
The thing is, if we don't utilize these, my son really has got really severe dyslexia, so his school is very tech orientated because he's got the ideas. He knows what he wants to say, but he can't get it down properly. So they use those tools in his school. Obviously, he's still got to put the time and the effort in, and everything else, but it checks his work for him to make sure, because we have this big thing about grammar, it checks everything for him to make sure that, you know, what he's saying is being worded properly.
Yeah.
And I don't see the issue with that.
Yeah, no, because I think, you know, grammar is free. It's a free for all. It's not, you're not stealing grammar. Do you know what I mean? No matter what app it is you're using, whether you choose ProWrite Aid, you know, which does have a cost. It isn't necessarily all free. Do you know what I mean? There's still a cost to some of these things. And so I get it. If you wanted to go on ChatGPT, whatever it is, and, you know, that's free, and you're just saying, look, check my full stops and blah, 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 and that's it.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's your story still.
Personally, can't argue with that. I wouldn't say to someone, "Oh no, you're a terrible person." Do you know what I mean? If you're going on it like you were saying earlier and going, "Could you write me this scene and you know, fluff it up and add in some description?" That's different. That's not using your imagination. That's not your story.
Exactly.
That's a different creative process that is now using other people's creation to create yours. And this is the big difference.
And people with opinions need to understand. They don't understand the process fully. So they come out with these opinions without fully understanding what it is, what the difference of these technologies are. Because AI is around. It's not going anywhere. And we've got to adapt with it and use it as a tool. And we've got to also fight against it being used as a replacement for authors. You know?
Because I think the biggest issue is, like you say, when you can just take somebody's blurb, add that into one of these apps, and then say, write me a 50,000 word novel off of this blurb. It, you know, because I downloaded one of the books that's copied of mine, and the names are the same, surnames. They've kept the same surnames, changed the first. The plot is exact. It's exactly what my story is. It's, you know, straight girl marries gay best friend to have a family. But it is a different story, as in it's not word for word mine. Most of it makes no sense. like you read a few pages and you're a bit like, it's very over, what's the word? Like there's a lot of description of every sentence going on. Do you know what I mean?
Too many words.
Much more words than you needed to for a sentence. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I hate it.
And big words. What I call big words.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's proper gone through the thesaurus on how many
get to the point.
How many big words can I string together that makes half a sentence sound sensible? And it's like, this is very odd reading this. I'm not sure. It's overcomplicated itself.
Yeah.
So I mean, that in itself should be able to. Most people should be able to spot, you know, that there's something not quite right here. But again, I would still say there will be writers out there who write like that. That is how they write. They write very descriptive. They use big words. They write in a way that's a certain style for them. It's not my style. Mine's quite basic. But, you know, we've got to be really careful who we're accusing and who we're going after when actually at the moment, that's small fry. The bit of editing is small fry compared to what is actually happening out there.
And it's amazing how one person makes that comment, and then we've said this before, loads of people jump onto it, and it's like this free for all, and you're like, just back it up, slow down a little bit. They've been given the go ahead to vent. And
people accusing other people. What we need to be doing is approaching people like companies like Amazon and asking them to develop technology where people can't simply copy and paste the blurb. Have safeguards in place. You know, it's not out of the rate. If they can make this kind of AI technology, they can certainly help stop it from ripping off people's work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, massively.
Not just blind.
They've got they obviously have the plagiarism tests, don't they, that they run things through to make sure something's not plagiarized. But this is now getting past that because it's technically not plagiarizing. It's creating a completely different wording of your story. So they do need to kind of be looking at, I mean, and it's difficult as well, isn't it? Because so many plots are similar.
Yes,
you know?
There's so many tropes. There's so many different variations of those tropes you can write. So you can often 10 books and see similarities because, you know, that's what like Enemies to Lovers, it follows a track, you know, they all do.
Absolutely.
Big difference though to exactly same names and all, you know, huge difference.
That's the thing for me. But again, even that once, because I'm sure Amazon will crack down on this. They will gradually catch up with each thing. So then they'll be like, okay, let's look for similar names. Well, then they'll just change the names. And do you know what I mean? These people that do this are not silly. They are criminals. They know how to get around the process. And I think it's good. It's a good thing to keep in mind as well, is that because they are criminals and because they can't promote themselves the way that we do.
No,
they can't, because you'd see it instantly when everyone would go, hang on, that's a book I've just read, you know. So they can't do anything. So, you know, most of the time they're not making huge amounts of money off of this. And hopefully that will be enough to say to them, this isn't worth our trouble.
An investigator like Jay, who seems to...
Jay is just awesome. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she does it. I'm just like, that's amazing, because I would not have to focus. I'd be so bummed out by it.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
Vigilant.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just great. And, you know, and the fact that she, you know, will find the authors and work it out who it is that this, you know, like, this book sounds weird, I'm going to find out which author it is and then, you know, let them know so they can do something about it. And but it's, you know, I found when I was doing the infringement copyright thing that you send off to KDP, they kept coming back saying I couldn't submit the 2 books I was trying to complain about because they weren't alike enough. So do you see what I mean? How they're changing the books just enough that they are skipping past all of Amazon's little checkpoints. So Amazon is going to have to up its game.
But I think it's, isn't it?
Dated with 1 stars and negative reviews, telling people this is just blatantly theft. You know,
I think that's the way forward.
Well, it's relying on the community to get in there and get stuck in and sort of drive them away, isn't it? Really. Yeah. And we're looking away because some of the wider book markets won't have such a close community who are ready to just jump on it straight away. You know, they're so wide and so big that people are like, no.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is our biggest what's the word? I shouldn't really do podcasts when I've got no words in my head.
That's the whole point of this podcast.
I might leave you two to do all the talking. But
oh my God, no.
The biggest thing that we've got as a group, as a community, is that we are a community. And if we can kind of move that that kind of aggressive anti-AI away from the odd potential, maybe possibly author that might have, into this is where we need to actually be focusing our
you want to put their energy into that, really.
Energy, that's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
Get their energy into organizing, you know, like seeking these out, finding out the proper, like, real ones, and then coming back to the author and going, do you think this might be a copy of your book? And then from that, dealing with, you know, just 1 star in it, and but not just picking a book randomly and going, oh, that sounds it, and randomly 1 star in. Like, investigate it. Find, you know, use your energies to investigate. Find out, is this AI? Is this just a new author? You know, because, and I think as well, maybe us more sort of, you know, us authors that have been around for a while, maybe we need to be a bit more helpful to the newer authors by getting their names out there a little bit and letting people know that, yes, this is a new author. They are a real person. They're not an AI. You know, let's support them, kind of thing. So I don't know. There's no solving the problem, is there, apart from just keep going.
Doing what we're doing.
Well, that's all we can do. Because you're always going to come up against something. When anything's online, when anything is like that, that's the problems that we're all going to come up against.
Yeah. If there's money to be made, criminals will try to make money, simple as. So, yeah, that was a good rant for 20 minutes, that lasted.
We did all right there, didn't we?
Bad. I mean, I thought, you know, might need to sort of bump this up, but then I think actually we could probably go for about 3 hours on it. It would be that easy. But let's move on to something more fun. I don't know, maybe not fun. What have you been doing? Yes, tell us all about your holiday.
It was literally us by the pool drinking cocktails all day and then going scuba diving. It was brilliant.
Nice.
Not jealous at all. Not
just
jealous.
What we needed.
And what did you see?
Yeah, what was the highlight?
It was the sea turtle on my birthday.
On your birthday? Fantastic.
Oh, wow.
So it's been ever since we started scuba diving. My one thing I wanted to check on my bucket list was to swim with sea turtles. And the day we booked a particular dive on my birthday because it was where you're supposed to be able to see them. And we were 10 minutes away from finishing the dive. And then, the magic happened, and it was insane. I screamed a lot underwater. It's quite cool.
Near-death experience has author almost drowns.
It was absolutely made my day. That was it. It made my holiday. It was fantastic.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
That's cool.
Although I did really severely get salt burn all across my bottom lip, so that was really
salt burn. I've never heard of.
Well, yeah,
from the sea.
I got sun on my face. And then because I was scuba diving all the time, the salt it blistered all the burn. So I ended up with just like a full bottom lip of nastiness when I got home. It's all right now, so it's fine.
It's all good.
The turtle was worth it, though.
Calmed up now. She's all good.
Yeah,
she's all good. What about you, Leah? What have you been up to? Anything exciting?
I mean, I did buy a new car, but that's about it, really, in the personal world. But I have been reading. Hang on, I'm going to hold this up. Here we go. So, can you see that?
Yes.
So I went from your vampire book, Ali, and was like, what else is around at the minute? Found this one in my TBR. So it's set in 1920s Harlem, and it's about an heiress, and then there's a lot going on in it. Hang on, there's an heiress. She gets brought back from France to help run the family empire. They basically provide weapons like bullets and things like that to keep the control of the Reapers, who are vampires, obviously.
Right.
Her best friend ends up getting turned into a vampire when they were younger, and her family gets killed. So it's mainly about who are the actual monsters. Is it the Reapers, or is it the sort of mob guys that are running around pretending to what they want to protect New York and everything?
Yes.
But I love the whole 1920s vibe. I'm very much into that Art Deco all kind of stuff.
It's romance in it.
There's no spice, but there is a romance that starts happening towards the end. Well, there's going to be book 2, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But you didn't really need it, because
no,
it's all about they hate each other to start with because of things that have happened, and then towards the end of the book, they have to work together to try and figure out who these murders are done by. I don't want to give too much away.
No, don't give it away. Don't spoil us.
But I really enjoyed it. The writing's good, and I enjoyed it. You've got the whole slapper thing going on, and
who was the
Hayley Dennings.
Okay, there you go.
Yes,
well done, Hayley.
I think book 2 is out October time, so I haven't got too long to wait.
No, well, that's right. Me and Ali can get 2 out in that time. That'll keep you busy.
Yeah, keep me
on ChatGPT as we speak. GPBD, whatever it is. Right,
all the letters.
Book, yes. We've got nothing better to do.
You could just put in the things I like and then say, write this for Leah, and see what happens.
That's a filth for Leah. There we go. Done. Easy peasy. I don't know why I'm standing
just
around.
Porn would be great.
2 hours a day. More sex.
The amount of people who say to me when I sort of discuss about what I read and who I read for, they're like, so porn. And I'm like, well, it's not porn. Why do they always go to that? So you read porn.
Porn, for God's sake.
Utter filth.
Got a story to it.
Honestly. I must admit though, one of the really big things I enjoyed with writing The Last to Know was that there wasn't very much sexy times in it. Like, it didn't need it. It couldn't have it.
It wouldn't have worked anyway.
It wouldn't have been very weird. No. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. Just write something where I don't have to think about filth. So I don't have to think about filth. And I really find, like, at the moment, I'm trying to just be more, like, trying to straddle that line of not filth, but slight filth. Do you know what I mean? And just be more flirtatious rather than full on.
Sometimes that is more interesting. Like with this book, there's a few things towards the end. Obviously, like I said, there's no spice in it, but actually that was more emotional and more kind of like, so you got turned on more, but it's like, you
have two adults with a bit of flirty teasiness. It can really build up the tension, and that can often be more exciting to read than
especially if there's humour in there for me. If you took humour in as well,
I do like a
flirty banter that goes on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're both working with a new editor, aren't we? So we're we're both hitting that more developmental editing rather than just like I've always done, just like copy editing. Just make sure there's no spelling mistakes, that kind of panic. Whereas now, the last sort of maybe 3 books, I'm kind of moving into like a little bit more of trying to develop my styles, keep it the same because obviously people do like it, but just I will be adding a few more big words in. I might add a bit more
all together, or are we going to sort of like put them?
Well, I figured I'll go all full on AI and have you all guessing, is she or isn't she? You know what I mean? Like, no. My intellect is not, and I don't have the patience to sit there with a thesaurus all day long going, what word could I change this one for? You know what I mean?
Very wordy for what you need to say, some of the books. Kind of like.
But I do realise that I do put a lot of things, like she nodded. And I'm like, I could change that up, so I've been trying to change things like that up, those little things where you suddenly realize when you reread it, like, I've said that about 15 times. She nodded, she smiled, she did. I'm trying to just kind of change that a little bit with less fragmented sentences because Linda's getting annoyed with me. But
oh, she does with me as well.
She tells me off all the time. It's like, for the love of God.
When she went through Finding Molly Parsons, so I referred to it constantly as Cali, as in California. And the amount of hate I got from her, I was like, oh, Linda, calm down. She was like, it's not Cali, it's California. I was like, all right then.
It's great, though.
She emailed me yesterday. She was like, oh, just to let you know, thank you to you and Claire, because now I can't read anything in US English.
Our work here is done. We have succeeded.
You're welcome.
So proper English.
She's English. That's it. She's part British, so you know. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been it's an interesting learning curve.
Definitely.
And I feel like I was ready to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I've really enjoyed it. The first one she did, because she was very gracious and went through my back catalogue for me, and boy did she like rip them to shreds. And I was really grateful for it though, because it was never, there was no, she wasn't ripping it for the sake of it. She was very, look, this is, and I was reading it, I was like, geez, yeah, you know. And by the end of like when she did Caddy Compton, it was like a brand new book, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
It was really impressive. And she does that with every one of my manuscripts now. And every one of her suggestions is so well thought out, and she will explain the reason, like, okay, so now when I'm writing, I've got her sort of
I found that as I'm doing that, I'm hearing, I don't need that.
Yeah,
that can go. The word "that" is not allowed. We don't use that anymore. It's not allowed. But yeah, she's really good with, even if she is ripping you apart, it's in a nice way. Like she'll go, maybe you might want to try writing this way, and she will reword it and suggest it, and you're like, oh, good thinking, Linda. Good. I'll steal that. But you know, it's like going back to the AI thing. That, you know, this is what editing is. If you're using that element of editing, and not everybody can afford to be doing that, because it's an added thing to your list of people you're employing to get a book out. You know,
I think we can both say, Claire, that you're coming on to at least $1,000 to fully publish one book. Yeah. So you know, if you're putting 4 books out, you want to put 4 books out a year, and you're a brand new author, and you've got to hope that you're making at least 1,000 back for your book, then plus another 1,000 to for the next one. It's
exactly. I mean, you know, I because I have tried to do my own covers at the moment, just to try and claw back a little bit of extra cash so that I could afford the extra editing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes I am like, oh, I don't know if I can do a book cover for this one, or, you know, whatever. But if you've got to do a book cover, and then you're looking at kind of like, you know, a copy editor as your basics, you know, that's 500-600 quid. Yeah. Easily. Do you know what I mean? Even, you know, unless you're kind of going to Fiverr and hoping that you don't get somebody who's just ripping you off and using AI, or is stealing, using an image that they don't have the license for, and things like that. Do you know what I mean? So then you add in, you know, you want to put a developmental editing in, and you want to put a proofreader in. Now you're at £1,000 easily, easily. And
I think that's the problem with a lot of the readers. They don't actually understand the cost that goes into. I think sometimes they think, oh, it's an indie writer, so they do it all themselves. It's like, it still costs you money, like you said, to put a book out. There's a lot of bits that need putting in place, and a lot of people that need paying. Like I said, if you're first time author, how are you supposed to, unless you're earning a lot in your main job, how are you supposed to put that into it?
Exactly. I mean, I'm even, you know, I'm lucky enough, I even pay someone to write my blurb, because I'm rubbish at it. I'm rubbish at it.
My developmental editor writes my blurbs because I hate them. I hate them with a fiery passion. I know my book inside out, but when it comes to me then sitting and trying to write it into a blurb, I'm like, cannot do it.
I haven't got a clue. I can write a basic blurb, but it just sounds like read my book. I might as well just read my book, because I don't know.
They get on really well. read my book.
Yeah.
Do bullet points.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's sex. Yes, yeah. So,
Yeah.
But actually, I think that was one of the best things I ever invested in. Actually, was finding someone who was happy to not just write my blurb, but read the book first of all. Do you know what I mean? In order to write the blurb, and then come back with a blurb. And I was just like, oh my god, I'd buy this.
Thank you.
Whose book is this?
Yeah,
I'd buy this. Whose book? Who wrote this? This is amazing.
It doesn't sound anything like my book.
But yeah, it definitely helps. It definitely helps having a blurb writer.
But once again, there it is. It's just as somebody else you add to the roster of who you employ, kind of thing. Really, I know everybody's freelance, but it's still employment, isn't it? You still got
absolutely.
But then also think about it. Then you've obviously got like tax. You've got all the money stuff to sort out as well, isn't there? It's not just you're not just chucking a book out. You're
doing marketing. You've got to pay for things like Canva for like book funnel. Everything costs money. Absolutely everything.
Yeah. I mean, I can honestly say, I think I spent last year on all my editing and marketing. It must have been close to $8,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's for 4 books.
Yeah.
You've got to make $8,000 before you even make a living.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's so when people talk about, oh, well, we're doing a boycott or whatever, it's like, thanks very much. It's not helping. It's not helping the situation because, you know, I'm lucky enough, Alison's lucky enough, we've got a readership, we've got a fan base that we can, fingers crossed, as long as we come out with something reasonably decent, they will buy it and read it. But to actually make money, to pay your bills, that book has to go past your readership. It has to get out there to people that have never maybe picked your book up before, or they don't follow you on social media. They're only on, you know, getting a book from Amazon every now and then or whatever.
I decided to venture out and put like my paperbacks on Ingram Sparks and stuff like that, and just try and reach a different audience. Because I mean, yes, we've been around longer. You've been around longer than me, and you've got a really big catalogue. I've been around a few years, and even I'm still a bit bloody hell. This is a bit treacherous at the moment with sales and that sort of thing. So I really feel for anybody who is just bringing out the first books right now.
Yeah.
Also, if you think about it, because you're established, I'm not saying that any of your books are shit or anything, but
here we go.
Say you have a book that you put out and it doesn't quite hit the mark for the majority, you know that those readers are still going to come back the next book you put out because you're established and you're ready to go. They know, okay, that one didn't sit very well, but I'm still going to read the rest of them.
Absolutely.
But a new author, they put that first one out. If it doesn't hit the mark, people are probably not going to even attempt the next book that they put out there.
Yeah. Which is why KU is so important.
Yes.
Because Kindle Unlimited will allow people to go, well, I didn't really like their last one, but it's not costing me.
But I'll give this next one a shot.
To just give this one a little 5-minute read.
They're not parting with £6-7 to have a book to say, no, I didn't like that one, you know?
Yeah.
That's a big thing for new authors to come out and to test the waters.
Yeah, definitely. But we will.
I still worry every single time I bring a book out because you never know how it's going to be received.
Yeah.
You know?
Which brings us on to sequels and why don't readers read them?
Well, see, I don't know if I'm an anomaly here, but my first 3 books were a series. Each subsequent one after my first one did better than the last one. And same with when I did the Lost and Found series, book 2 did better than the first one. So maybe not the
I wonder if sometimes if there's a big gap between books. Like sometimes I've read a book and I've gone, oh, I really, really enjoyed that book. And then I've got to wait quite a big gap between the next one. So the next one comes out, but I've forgotten just how much I enjoyed the first one. So I might put the second one on the back burner because something brand new's come out that the covers catched my eye or something. And then I'll finally get round to reading the next one in the series and think, why did I wait so long to pick that book up? I remember I actually enjoyed the first one as much as I did. I don't know if it's something like that.
I think it has to be, because I mean, I think it's common. Like, I asked a question on Facebook, and pretty much, I would say 90% of the authors that responded all said the same, that there's a drop off in your second, and then again into the thirds and fourths, or however many you go along. It was quite rare that anyone had a book series that was just outselling everything all the way.
Those series, though, were they? Because there's a difference in series. You can have a series that follows the same couples, or you can have a series that follows the same group of people. At least with the series where they're following different groups, you're kind of getting a brand new book. Whereas when you follow the same, I don't know.
Absolutely. I think there's all different kinds of anomalies in it, and it is, sometimes it's just luck, isn't it? I think sometimes you just hit the. I mean, I could not tell you why one book sells better than another book, or why, you know, this book went phenomenal and the one that came out that was really similar to it didn't. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I think a lot of times it's just luck of when you've chucked it out there, who's picked it up and read it. And
it's funny though, on that comment section that you put up, one of the authors did say that she'd been told very much that you do series, because series are huge things to do. So they are popular because people do series all the time. But it's a very funny, it's a bit of a fickle thing,
I wonder if it's a trope genre type thing. Like, I think if you've got generally like a fantasy type scenario going on, I think those are serials that people are waiting for the next one, you know. Whereas I wonder if in romance, people say, oh, I need to know what happens next, but actually they're probably quite happy to have just got to the happy ending and sat with it. So then when the next book comes out, a lot of the times they're like, oh, I'm not really that bothered. I know.
Think probably that is where the series that have different characters in each book is the ones that will do better, possibly.
It's also maybe what's coming out at the same time as you're about to release your book. It's kind of like if maybe 3 or 4 books have been really, really hyped, and then yours is coming out at the same time, that must be difficult to try and judge when to release it, because it's going to get lost within build up for 3 or 4 other books. I don't know.
I've given up on that, because no matter when I release a book,
there's always someone.
Claire Ashton will then release a book, so I'm like, well, that's fucked me off the yard. Then it'll be like Jamie's, well, don't even bother. Then it'll be Hayley Cass. I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to release the book.
Buy my book, don't buy my book.
Yeah, I remember there being a point where I'd be like trying to study who's coming out, where can I slot my book in to try and just get noticed. And in the end, you're just like, just whatever. It will be what it is. You know what I mean? It will be. At the end of the day, the readers will read it or they won't, and you
feel like putting in the blurb. Once you finish with Claire Ashton, once you finish with yada yada yada, then just go to my book. That's great.
Pick mine up.
They're a similar kind of.
Give it a go. But, you know, I don't know, because sometimes sometimes you get caught out. Like I'm completely caught out with this one. This much bigger appreciation from the readers than I thought it would be. You know, I kind of was like, oh, this might be one that just plods me along to the next one. Do you know what I mean? But actually, the readers have grabbed it and it's sitting in the charts, and I'm like, okay, nothing like Scarlet Fever, which was my other big.
Mine comes out on Sunday, and I'm just whatever. Just it's out, and I'm going to forget about life, because when my first few books came out, I was so obsessed with where it was sitting and what it was doing. It was giving myself anxiety over it. So now I'm just like, you're going to read it. That'd be awesome. Just I need to move on from it. Otherwise I just like panic attacks. No.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I've already moved on once it's gone to the editor. I'm already past it. And then suddenly I'm like, oh, it's gone out. I better have a look. I better have a little look and see that it's doing all right, you know, or people start messaging you.
You proper saved my arse this week with all those videos. I was like, I was just sat here feeling like, oh shit, I've got to do marketing. And then you said like 10 videos. I was like, oh my God, I'm a little bit in love with you right now. Okay.
I do love that. Because I think I'm just quite creative in every sense, but not creative enough to be like superstar. but just enough. Do you know what I mean? I can come up with something and it's like, oh yeah, that'll work. But yeah, I love that. Like CapCut I use, and I love it. I think
I can't use that. I cannot get mine. You're going to have to show me when we're in Nottingham.
Not difficult. It is a bit fiddly, but
I get such a headache with stuff like that. I get so distracted and then go, oh, hang on, I might go and do this. And then I come back and I go, oh, what was I doing originally? And that, I was just looking at going, I can't figure this out.
It's really easy when you've just got book covers and you just want to chuck them on. Or just pictures of yourself or, your mates or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do have to spend a couple of hours in Canva creating like a video of images that I can then adapt and put into. But I think visually, something like CapCut or a reel is quite helpful, I think, with selling a book.
Well, it's just there, facing it. She's like, boom, it's there.
Yeah, it's done. And it's you're not using AI. So it's just simply your book cover or whatever you've created in Canva and you've chucked it in. And so you can make something visually. Whereas I do see a few authors out there kind of where they've made like book trailers. And I think that looks, you've even spent a lot of money on that, paying actors to snog their faces off. Well, that's AI generated, because there's not, I've looked at the content that's available to try and create book trailers and things, and there is just not very much sapphic, women loving women content. And if it is, it generally they don't fit your characters, or, do you know what I mean? So trying to find images or video of people moving around and looking like your characters and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. That's not for me. I'm not.
I think you've definitely got to have the contacts for that, haven't you? Like if your friendship group can create stuff like that, then you've got it pretty. It's a lot easier than, like you said, trying to find people and think about it in depth.
When it comes to marketing, I just get to the point where I open up whatever I need to do, even in Canva. That sort of, I can do it and I will do it. But when it comes to anything else in marketing, I just find it exhausting. I find it so exhausting. It's just non-stop, So you saved my arse.
Yes, there is a point where you just have to go, done with it all. It's out there and it's on its own. It's got to live on its own. It's like chucking out a teenager. You're on your own. Go and earn yourself a living.
Absolutely.
But oh my God! Right, we've got a couple of minutes left. So, Leah, you have a.
Oh yeah.
Go on. What was your thing?
Okay. What you want a question?
However you want to put it, it's your thing. You go for it.
Okay, here we go. Right, I'll do one question. Let's go with out of all the Sapphic authors, who do you look forward to a new release from? Who's your go-to author?
Well, like Claire Ashton has literally released her thing today, and it was on my.
That looks really good.
I'm halfway through it already. I do enjoy her books. I really enjoy her books.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, last year I read over 400 books. So there are lots and lots of authors that I really enjoy and will instantly snap up as soon as they release a book. So, and I like not just romance, so I like fantasy as well, a bit of paranormal. I'll read pretty much a lot of things. As long as it's got some sapphic romance in it, that is my thing. I'll read a lot of stuff. So I will definitely come back to the absolutely for sure people like Claire Ashton, but I'm also really happy to just dive into somebody brand new and see where that goes.
Yeah. Claire doesn't read.
I don't read.
So goodbye and thank you very much.
I do look forward to seeing, my friends have their next book out. And being able to push that and promote it and help share it and get it out there. So in that sense, I'm looking at it as a totally different thing. I'm not looking at it as a reader. I'm looking at it as a fellow author and who can I help and what can we do here? Because if I'm going to read, it's going to be murder. So if I was going to go for a sapphic content, I would probably be picking Carrie Hunter. If she's got a new one out, I will grab that. Because I love a bit of murder, and she does chuck a bit of romance in there, so it's not completely unromantic, but it's enough away from what I write. I don't worry about taking that into my books because I'm generally I know I've done the doll maker, and I might do another one of those at some point. But generally, I'm not murdering people in my books, so I'm okay with having a little bit of a read of Carrie's books and just enjoying somebody else getting murdered, and rather than, So yeah, that would be my go-to.
I think the one that traumatized me the most out of your books, Claire, what's the one that's on the beach where she finds the woman there?
Castaway of Fear. Oh no, Stranger on the Shore.
Stranger. Oh, I've got a physical copy of it. I've read it once, and I think I cried so much, and I was so angry all the way through. But it's the one book, other than Scarlet, that I represent with you.
That's the one where the husband is like beating her, isn't it? Is
abusive.
It is quite. There's quite a lot of triggers in it. Yeah, it's
such a good book though. But yeah,
want to read the page and just kill him. Yeah, I get that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the one where she kills the parents of those kids. That's always a good one to go back to.
Oh yeah, there's that one. Yeah, but she doesn't do any murders or anything.
Maybe I should have a few more murders in. I should have a few more murders. I have a serial killer on the loose or something again.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I did go through a little bit of a phase of where I was like, everything I wrote had to be sort of like twisty and a bit emotional and a bit like, oh my God, sort of thing. Yeah. And then I kind of settled into like, okay, I think I've exercised whatever demon that was. That's not, and I don't know why, because it's not my life. My life's good. I've never had any of these kind of abusive relationships or anything like that. Yeah. I'm quite happy, I've had maybe I'm not getting enough drama in my life. I don't know. But, I don't know. I think my first few books probably were a little bit more angsty, a bit more serious natured.
The thing with my Broken Parts Included and the Lost and Found series, they're the ones that have got a lot of attention for because they're very emotional, they're very deep. But now everything I'm writing is romantic comedy. It's all quite light-hearted. I put a little bit of something in there, but it's all light. But then I sit there thinking, oh shit, do I need to write something a bit more deeper for it to resonate more with people? But I find it really exhausting to write those kinds of books.
It is hard.
It takes it out of you emotionally. Yeah. So I prefer to have a comedy where you laugh along than maybe I need to do something tragic again.
I love a bit.
Yours always has like proper British humour in there, like the other Brits read it and we laugh because we're like, yeah, that's exactly what we would have said in it. All the sarcasm that's in there, and I love all that.
That's an absolute nightmare for the editors.
Yeah, because most of our editing team is American, so
I really like to mess them about, because there's a couple of my books that were coming out that are based in America but have got an English character and an American character, and I'm very strict of saying the English character must have UK British, but the American must have US. So I don't think they like me very much when I send those books.
No, we're trouble basically, but and that's your job. If you don't want to be replaced by ChatGPT, whatever it is, quit your moaning. Like we are going to make your lives hell. And maybe actually, do you know what? I think I might actually just start. I have done it a few times where I've listed who done the editing and things in my books. I might just keep doing that. Just keep listing every single one. Because if you've got the names, at least someone can go, well, that can't be AI because they've literally paid people to work. Yeah. Why would I pay people if I can do it for free? Do you know what I mean?
But also it's kind of giving new authors contacts then, isn't it?
That's why I started doing it. I started putting the names in. I thought, oh, this might be helpful if somebody's looking for an editor. And then, but sometimes I just forget to add. I just forget things like that. I do something on a whim, and then it doesn't become a habit. But maybe I will make that a bit more of a.
I mean, I know it's not quite the same, but like when I put a book on for a review, I can't be asked with all the hashtagging, and I really need to do that more to push it out a little bit more. But what I need to do is do all the hashtags on, like, I don't know, a notepad bit, and then just copy and paste and just drop them in there.
I do that. I have mine on sticky notes on front of my computer. I've got them all listed, copy and paste. I am
do
Yeah, but I'm even lazier. I just want them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of hashtags out there, and I'm like, I can't. It's taken me 20 minutes to think of what I want to write on there. Never mind hashtagging it all.
If you could spend 1 hour just researching the best hashtags, you can literally have them on a list forever and just copy paste them, and that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
Even that feels like hard work sometimes. I just need to sit down and actually go through it. Claire, sit down, go through them all, and send them over to me.
I'll write my own hashtags and send them to you.
I'm going to send my hashtags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can. Is I could just hashtag every book, and
I'm literally going to send them in an Instagram message right now.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean, mine will just basically say hashtag filth, hashtag.
That's it.
Porn, hashtag.
It's all quite simple and quite easy, But yeah.
Have you changed your?
I'm just so lazy.
I was just going to say, as our last little, because we're at 55 minutes now, so over, but whatever. What have you got planned coming up? What should you be doing?
Well, I've literally just finished the novella that has taken me far too long to write, so that is done. I'm ignoring it forever now. And I'm now heading on to a book that I started last year and has once again just been giving me a headache. But I didn't realise I'd already written 14 chapters, so that's pretty cool. So I'm jumping onto that and trying to get that written. It's going to be set in the Royal Navy. Quite looking forward to that.
Lots of uniforms.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing at the minute, and then I just need to pick a review book. But my list is just ever growing.
Well, this is the thing, you see, once you become a bit popular and people know you do this, they will send you stuff.
I know, and now I can't say no.
Can't say no. Well,
I mean, was it 2 I got from you, Ali? And I was like, right, that's going to have to go because I really want to read these ones. And then I was behind and I was like, ah.
Listen, if people want to bribe you with chocolate and stuff, then that's on them, isn't it? But otherwise, they're just going to have to wait their turn. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. Chocolate, wine, and cheese.
I'm the one that will give you wine and chocolate. So when I'm messaging you about my books, just keep that in mind, okay?
Exactly. Oh my God, you authors are so competitive. The amount of threats I get.
Dog eat dog, that's what it is.
We like you.
Oh, thanks.
But yeah.
Stalker on the.
Oh, I know. It's just my tag name. I should just have that stalker. Yeah. I'm going to have a badge made with just that on.
Obviously, other reviewers that wish to be bribed with chocolate and cheese and wine, just hit us up. You never know, you might get it.
Wait a minute. Don't you diddle me out of chocolate and wine.
But you're busy, so you might not be able to fit us in. You have to have a backup plan.
Oh my God, I've really screwed myself over now.
Anyway, we are coming up to a whole hour, so
oh my God.
Cheerio. See
okay. Nice to see you, ladies.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.